Wire.
All right. Let's see if this actually pops up on the one that I have created the thumbnail and everything for. Doesn't look like it's going to.
Sometimes it takes a couple minutes. Yeah, you're good. We're live.
All right. Yeah, we are. There it goes. Okay. Hey, everyone. Genome here. Come at you with the next episode of Graders Notes. When this little rogues gallery gets together and dissects books of old that we think you might have interest in, and because we at one time had interest in, and since it's our show, we pick what we want. I hope you all like it. But yep. So what we do is take a book and grade it on 4 different criteria, and then give it an overall score. And we also include the chat upon our scoring metrics. So you too will get a chance to tell us what you think of this book. This week, we are looking at Legend of Aquaman #1 from 1989. Right here. It was my pick for this week. Thank you, Dave. And kind of sentimental reasons. Mostly when I picked it, it was on top of a pile of comics I had sitting in my my office here. So that was part of it. But then I saw it and I had a real fond memory. So I, what the heck? Let's see if it's good. I haven't read this book since I basically bought it in '89. So off the newsstand. So without further ado, let's go ahead and do some quick introductions and then we'll jump right on in. So starting to my bottom left, as befits his station, we have none other than Mr. Miracle coming at us from the Great White North. Dave, say hi to everyone today.
Hello, everyone, today. So we are going to do the Legend of Aquaman. Fish people abound. Yeah, we'll dive into this one, that's for sure. Have a really good time with the Aquaman.
Yeah, anyway, Aquaman didn't get a lot of love from
minutes. We've already got a bunch of people showing up in our chat. We're letting people trickle in, and I'm excited that we have somebody guest starring here on our panel today too.
That is true. Speaking of, to the top and to my right, we have another Mr. Unruly Simian filling in some big shoes for Mr. Metarog. So, Mr. Unruly, why don't you say hello to everyone this evening?
Peace, comic people. Hey, I'm just curious. Y'all reckon Aquaman gets a little more action on Fridays?
Yeah, that checks out.
And he starts with a bang too. Look at that. So
look, I'm glad y'all invited me. I'm glad to be here. And you're right. Raj has some big shoes to fill. I'll do my best.
Yep, you're filling in for our most astute member, and I'm sure you do just fine because you're always here in the chat, and we know what a knowledgeable guy you are. So looking forward to working with you this evening. All right, so catty corner to that, and down there in the bottom right, we have none other than Comic Cat 84, Vince McMahon's favorite punching bag. Kenny, say hi to everybody tonight, will you please?
What's happening, everyone? 84's here. My Aquaman issue is locked and loaded. And yeah, man, I'm pumped that we have, our first guest grader with us, man. And who better? Because Metarog is, one of the faceless legends on YouTube in the comic community. And what other faceless legend is there than Unruly Simian himself, chat all-star, deep thinker? You got it, brother. Rider of the waves, if I remember a chat that we had a while back. So I know my man knows his way around some waves in the ocean. So perfect guest. And we're gonna, this book is gonna just might make you wet, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see how many times we can get it. Yeah, man. So I'm looking forward. This should be a fun one.
Oh, the double entendres have already begun now. We've just got started. Okay, so for those of you who are in the know, we do grade on 4 metrics, and they are, in no particular order, the cover, interior art, the concept, and the story. So we kind of take a look at all parts of the book, and we each have about 2 minutes to talk about each individual section. So, we're all coming at this from different angles, so the grades are usually completely different, or at least somewhat so, and it's always cool to see people's unique opinion about the same book, We usually lead off with cover, and we will do the same this evening. And as usual, we will lead off with Mr. Miracle. So each person has 2 minutes, of course, to talk and state their case.
If you don't mind, Gino, we shouldn't forget the all-important 5th grader, you know what I'm saying, of the program, which is a collective of all the fabulous people in the chat, being one of our great supporters, Tim the Comic Collector in the house, Peanut Butter 524 in the house, Super Russ 9000, and Perry Comics. Good to see y'all. I can't scroll up anymore, so I hope I've accounted for everybody. StreamYard's weird with the comment bar sometimes, but thanks for hanging out, everyone.
Yep, as always, you will get your chance to tally your votes at the end of each section. So, and I keep records of everything. So, from years when we're looking back at this show, we can say, "What grade do we give to Aquaman, Legend of Aquaman #1?" I can look back, and the scribe keeper himself is just full of knowledge, useful or otherwise. So, let's go ahead and hop on in. I think people have mostly joined us that we're going to be coming on here. I know there's a big auction going on right now that might be sapping a little life out of the show, but hey, you got to keep driving on. So let's go ahead and get started with this cover. And Dave,
competition, Genome. You know
what's that?
I said never mention the competition. Don't do it.
Oh yeah, you have to sometimes, at least in this community. But by the way, the auction sucks. You want nothing to do with it. It's all overpriced. So make sure to tell your friends to come over here and watch Graders Notes. So
there you go.
Without further ado, let's break into this book, shall we? So Dave, in your 2 minutes here, tell us what you thought about the cover of this book. Let's go ahead and start with you, my friend.
All right, let's take a look at this cover. At first I was looking at it. It's not bad. It's not like the anatomy of Aquaman here. It's quite, it's pretty well done. It's kind of an odd pose, but there's just something a little bit off-putting about it, and it was weird with the cover. I do like he's got lots of details in there. I like the dark blue background with the bright orange is really good, right? That two plays of colors really stands out. Aquaman really stands out. You do get the sense that he's kind of like splashing out of here. I don't know. He's just got kind of like this weird sort of child molestery kind of look to him. I don't trust him. I don't trust him when I'm looking at this book. When I popped it out of the mail, I was looking at that going, why does that blonde guy have such dark eyebrows? Maybe that's why it is. It's just something weird's going on with this dude. And yeah, but the cover, as a cover, is going to tell me what I need to know here. It's the Legend of Aquaman, right? So obviously I'm going to get some sort of origin story here. There he is. I mean, this is pre-losing his arm, growing a beard, and being a badass, obviously, right? When you take a look at that. But yeah, I thought the cover was, I'm not even going to steal Dave's saying, right? I thought the cover was adequate. I thought that it did its job well, but it didn't really wow me, and the creepiness factor kind of turned me off a little bit. So I only gave it a 2.
All right, 2, and he didn't even use the word serviceable. I'm pretty impressed. No, there's some good points there. Some really good points, and I didn't remember it being so odd until I looked at it again really close, because that's one of the books you just kind of breeze through in your collection and never stop to take a quick look at the details. And it's like, yeah, there might be a little bit of oddity going on there. So
that weird, creepy kind of smile he's got going on there or something. It's just,
you don't lure the kids into your van of mystery with a frown.
No, I guess not, right? Like a bag
You
of
have to
candy and a fake smile.
Oh, God. That's never getting out of our heads now. Thank you very much, Dave. So, Kenny, do you concur with our friend? Is this guy the creepy ice cream man, or is this a amazing DC hero put to page?
Well, I think kind of along the lines of what Dave's getting at is and what this cover has to deal with, and what this whole comic has to deal with, is that, especially in this era, we're dealing with the biggest dork in comics. Aquaman's a dork. He's kind of been a punchline. He's not. They had to totally revamp and give him the badass hook and the beard. In the movies, make him Samoan and tattoos, because he was a square that talked to fish, and you guys know the drill. Aquaman's a nerd. So this cover just reinforces that. Look at this dork splashing out of the water. Just a happy-go-lucky face. That's not going to instill fear in anybody. I actually don't like the position very much. Like, it's not real dynamic. I feel like they could have did a little more. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not foreshadowing, but you know, the way you affect the like the perspective of the body when it's coming at you at an angle. You know, you see it often when Superman is flying through the sky. His feet should be further back and foreshortened, I think might be the term. So it looks kind of weird, in my opinion, the way he's flying out of the water with his hands like that. It's almost like he's flying, but he doesn't fly. So he's just like flopping out of the ocean like a dolphin or something. But very clean line work, and we're going to see that, you know, as we open the book. I'm pretty sure this was at least penciled by Kurt Swan, which means you're going to get that really clean line work, that classic, almost like kind of like that Silver Age kind of style of superheroes. I like that they kind of angle the horizon in the background. I thought that was pretty cool. At least they added a little bit of dynamicness to it, and not just make it a straight horizon across. So I think they did that because this cover was pretty boring, kind of a snooze fest. Last thing I'll say is I like the trade dress, the word Aquaman, the way they designed the A and the Q and the whole bit. That's kind of cool. But again, a very dorky cover. Didn't really excite me. I probably would just walk right past this on the stands. I gave it a 2 as well.
All right, a 2. So we have a consensus so far on the book. So basically, right now we are looking at Opie put to page. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, Wayne, what do you say here, man? I mean, are my learned colleagues off the mark here, or are they hitting severe bullseyes? Not to cross up with Marvel.
Well, I'll tell you what, here's the deal, y'all. Back in this time period, post-crisis, I was buying any title DC put out. So I remember picking this up and reading it, and it was not horrible. But I have to, I got to agree with both what Miracle and Kenny said about the cover in some aspects. The Aquaman, what would you call it, the font, or that's pretty cool. That might be the best part of the cover. And thanks a lot, Miracle. You know, now that I look at it, he does have kind of a sitting on a park bench vibe in that expression. And now I can't unsee it. Kenny, you're exactly right. He was the biggest doofus in comics, thanks to, I think most people were probably familiar with him from Super Friends, where he rode the giant peach-colored seahorse.
Yeah.
And shot out whenever you remember when he spoke to animals, it was concentric rings going out through the water. But hey, you've got to give props to the man. I mean, surely fish and mammals that live in the ocean have as many different languages as humans, and he could speak all of them. But I actually like this cover. I think it's the best thing about the book, to be honest. I like the pose. I like the colors. The colors are fairly decent. I like it that on the UPC code, it's his little symbol he wears on his belt, which we discover in the story is not the human letter A. Overall, I would give this cover a solid 3.0.
Nice.
All right, 3.0 coming from our newest reviewer. So pretty decent score there.
Average.
Of average, maybe a little above serviceable there, but you know, not to wax poetic.
It's kind of as this one gets from David.
Yeah, that's my word. Don't infringe now. But I'm
I'm
gonna have to Vince McMahon everybody here. Oh yeah, reminds me, Kenny. When are you out of live stream purgatory? Just curious.
To be determined. I have no idea. I have no communication with the YouTube gods. I'm pretty sure I'm not on their to-do list.
Yeah, hopefully we're all praying for you, sir.
You can do the calculation, right? Like we're in October now, so what? September, August, July.
Oh, yeah, I can confirm that we're like 2 or 3 days away from a clean 90 days from when it happened. Because I'm figuring it's going to be some kind of increment, 3 months, 6-month ban, what have you. So
Right, but they never told you what's up.
no.
Well, but the silver lining is you and Lord Vasco got comic heads rolling, and that's pretty cool, man.
Thank you, appreciate that, man. Yeah, I'm still getting scratching the live itch over there.
All right, just welcoming the new arrivals. They're still trickling in, as I see.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Biggie.
Yep,
Biggie
Biggie is in the house. I still have it. Oh, my Biggie bag is gone. Anyway, let's go ahead and I guess jump into what I thought about the cover. So, seeing as I picked the book, maybe I liked it, but who knows? So let me get my timer going. So yeah, Legend of Aquaman #1. I have always had an affinity for the water characters, either be they villains or heroes, just because we've spent a lot of time in the ocean in Florida, and I don't know, or lakes, ponds, whatever body water I can get into, I would enjoy getting into. So yes, he was a dork, and he was a dork on Super Friends, which I used to watch somewhat, but he had a real branding problem in DC, and Aquaman was always an afterthought. His power set was very ill-defined. He was ignored for a better part of like 40 years or so. And apparently, well, it was his time to shine again. So to the cover itself, there's some things I really like about it and some things I really hate about it. The hate comes exclusively from his expression. Why is he smiling like this? All creepy perv things aside, just why is he so happy? This book is kind of somber once you get inside of it, so it really takes away from this. And when people see a comic book cover, they want to see heroic deeds and big battles and strife and at least action or something. And he just looks like he got tickets to Twilight here, and he's just happy about it. He's gonna go landlord and watch. But there's a lot to like about this cover outside of that. I imagine this perspective is very difficult to draw. It's a weird pose, and getting the proportions right for distance and all looks like it'd be very difficult. And he looks like it's pulled off pretty damn well, other than the fact that his neck is a little bit missing. But that's to be expected with his head tilted up that way, I guess. But what really sets this cover off for me is like the scrim of clouds in the background, and just look at the detail on the water. I think this would be a great looking picture even without him in it, with that big splash kind of wrecking everything. But the trade dress looks really cool. This Aquaman is just gorgeous looking, and it kind of floats out there like in a sea horizon, to wax poetic a little bit. Oh, I have the prettiest one too. I got the newsstand there. That was but yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like and a few things to not like about it. It doesn't tell you anything about what's going on. It's just a picture of him in some sort of happy pose. So I can't give it too high a marks, but it does the job for me, man. It kind of pops a little bit because the coloring is so good. Everything contrasts really well from itself. So I'll go ahead and give it a 3. It's lacking in a lot of stuff, but I don't know. I like it. It's a little better than serviceable. So 3 it is.
A 3.
All right. So we got 2 2s and 2 3s, man. I think we need the chat to help break this impasse here. So why don't you guys start throwing your scores down? What did you think about this cover? I mean, was this the most amazing thing the Fishman has ever done, or are we talking Aqualad status here? So cast your votes now, and we will tabulate in a moment.
Yeah, and I do see the creeper vibe that you got. That you guys been pointing out. Do you think that he just kind of rolls by in a windowless boat along the shore, giving out candy instead of maybe saltwater taffy in a boat by the ocean instead of a van?
He just got done playing hide and sardine with Aqualad, and it just does not seem right,
I am. What's up, lady? Fantastic. Good to see you.
Well, look who is there.
I like to call him Koi Boy.
Metarog is here. Look at that. Welcome, Metarog.
Yeah.
Fantastic. How are you doing, Stephen? Joe, welcome.
Big Joe.
Grades are rolling in. Kenneth, do you have your abacus handy?
I do.
in a moment. We'll get to it. So yeah, cover. I just don't know why they made it so goofy. It's like I said, in the inside is they try to make it more of a serious tale, and then do you think the cover was done first or after? What do you think on this one?
I'm thinking after. No, maybe first.
I'm thinking first because it just does not match the inside at all. Because he's not really smiling in the book either. Maybe toward the end a little bit, but
maybe after, maybe first. Yeah, maybe first because I don't know. It's weird, right? Like it's weird.
It's odd.
There's nothing particularly strikingly bad about it, but it's just off-putting. And that pose, like you can't excuse an artist for being like, oh, that's a hard pose to draw. Don't pick that pose, right? Like that's what you do as an artist. You're like, no, that's fucking weird. That's a weird perspective. I'm not drawing that. Right? This would have been much better if he had been like coming like straight up out of the water, like without this big fucking smile on his face and stuff. I'll watch the cut for it, but you know what I mean? Like instead of jumping right at you, like, hey, I could kind of see what he's like trying to make a 3D kind of thing, but I think the long shot with him coming out of the water, because like what Gino was saying, that background's good, right? He's got lots of details and stuff. It would have looked better, but that's just my opinion. That's what I would have done as the artist, right?
And that's where lines outside of McFarlane actually show detail. It's amazing. But all right, so I think we got most of the grades in, so I guess I will read them off in Medarog's absence. So if you are ready, Kenny, we'll get this ball rolling.
I'm good.
Okay, we got the Comic Collector with a 2. Biggie coming in with 2.5. Joe coming in with 1.5. Medarog, our esteemed colleague, 2.5. Grayman, our previous esteemed colleague, 3. And let's see, Russ has a 3 as well. I think I saw some more down here. I thought. Hold on. Oh, maybe that might be it. I thought we had another grade in there. I think that is it so far. Yep. So lay it on us.
Did you get Biggie 1.5?
Yeah, I think that was the second one I read.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I think.
I don't pay attention to you.
He had 2.5 up above. Did he change it?
Maybe 1.5.
Oh, yeah, it's Kurt Swan cover, so he's leaving at 2.5. So.
Okay, so the vote came to 2.5 from the chat.
Oof. 2 points. So they basically met with us.
Yeah, like kind of in the middle of all our grades, right?
Yep, that's basically what we had. So, all right. So the chat is in keeping with our scores. Basically, it's good, not great. There's a few steps away from greatness, but overall better than average, I'd say.
All right.
So let's go ahead and move on to the story. Story is often overlooked in books of this era, just because people were buying covers and artists much more so than a lot of the time stories. So let's see. Let's go ahead and lead off with Kenny. Kenny, what did you think about the tale told within? Is this a great coming of age tale or just a total Dawson's Creek?
So the story. Now, for what it is, it does the job. So it's not your traditional comic book where it's an episodic tale of a story arc and what have you. This is a one shot, so it's written as a one shot, and kind of like it says, the legend of Aquaman. So a lot of it is reading like a what you'd expect a comic book with characters interacting and dialogue balloons. But there's also like this omniscient narrator that's going through, almost like it's a storybook, and that it's like relaying lore or legend to you. I like that overall style, the legend of Aquaman. I think the story was told pretty cool, man. Like I said, I opened up with Aquaman being the biggest dork around. But after reading this book, I was pretty engaged. I had a little more appreciation for the character, some stuff that I haven't read a ton of Aquaman. So I walked away learning the origin of his suit, which was probably one of the highlights for me. When that clicked, I was like, oh shit, that's cool. It's an Atlantean prison uniform. So I was like, that's pretty cool. That he's wearing prison duds and he wears it as like a representation of where he came from. I was like, that's pretty clever. It's pretty badass. It was pretty good pacing considering they're telling the whole legend of Aquaman, because they really went front to back from when he was born to, once he's an established hero. So the pacing was pretty good. There's still some stuff that I didn't really walk away totally understanding. Like, he got orphaned when he was a kid because he was different, but I don't know how they knew he was different. Everyone looks like him. I don't think they knew he could breathe above water when he was a baby unless they torture all their babies and test them. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's see if he dies and put him above into the air. So I didn't, there's some missing links for me. I still don't understand why he's super strong. So as far as his origin goes, I could have used some more clarity on why he has these powers. Can everyone talk to fish where he comes from? Does he talk to the fish, or can he just mind control them? Because just because you can talk to a whale doesn't mean you can always make these motherfuckers do battle for you. Like, can he just control them? So anyway, I didn't like that it left those unanswered questions. I wanted to know the whole legend of Aquaman, but I dug it. It was a good read. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I'm ending off with a 3 for the story. That was above average, man. I thought it was pretty cool. I learned a couple Aquaman fun facts during the read, which was bueno.
All right. Got yourself a good 3. Once again, a little better than serviceable from Kenny.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'll get it to my review. It's kind of surprising at some points. I'll say that. And the costume reveal was sweet. Got to say that.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Unruly Simian, what's your take on the words within? Is this just a random mumble jumble of dictionary stuff, or do we have a cohesive, good, engaging story here?
I enjoyed the story somewhat. I mean, I'm like Kenny. I thought the coolest thing about it was discovering that his incredibly gay, not that there's anything wrong with that, outfit was actually prison duds. I mean, that really struck me. And I would like to say along those lines, all right, remember when he first finds his adoptive human father? So here's this naked adolescent kid coming out of the sea, and I think we can all agree that, thank God, DC didn't cast Kevin Spacey in this role. And one thing that really bugged me was, once safely away from civilized society, Arthur Curry resumed his search for his birthplace. And one day, quite by chance, he found it. Do you have any idea how big the freaking Gulf of Mexico is, for Christ's sake?
Yeah.
Much less the Atlantic, Pacific, or any other ocean. Yeah, one day, quite by chance, he stumbles across Atlantis. So that kind of bugged me. And another thing that bugged me is, he comes home to visit his old man wearing apparently a Speedo made out of seaweed. And, the place is ransacked. He can't find his dad. And was that ever explained? I don't remember. But overall, the story was decent. I'm like Kenny, I had no clue as to Aquaman's backstory, because it was just never a comic or a character that interested me in any way. And, and I'm like, Genome, I grew up in Florida too, off and on. My old man was a lifer in the Navy. And I spent a lot of time on the water, and I really love Submariner, and enjoyed all those stories. I don't know why I never had anything like an affinity for Aquaman, although I did really enjoy the Peter David 90s ongoing series. And the last thing about the story that really bugged me is, all right, whoever their monarch is now is just totally willing to throw down the throne to this guy that they don't really freaking know. So I can dig. I mean, who wants to be in charge of an entire race? I mean, I can barely run a 10-man crew without killing people. So I would not want to be in charge of my entire race. I can dig this dude wanting to give it up, but I just don't understand how the Atlanteans just, happily accept his rule. And then they cram in this epilogue. Well, I met this broad from another dimension, had a baby, and it died. yeah, that was kind of abrupt, you know. That could have used a whole other issue. And so she's from another dimension, Mira is, or at least that's how it's explained here. And yet somehow or another, someone from another dimension with a completely different genetic and atomic structure is able to crossbreed with you know, Mr. Aqualung here. Yeah, I don't buy it. So overall, I give that story a 1.5.
All right, 1.5, Mr. Simian. Ooh, that's a little below serviceable now. Yeah, we're breaking with tradition so far.
You nailed it. That was so good, Unruly.
Yeah, your prose is quite exceptional, my friend.
And shout out the comments.
Your allegory, huh?
Tim said in the comments when he was mentioning they let this random dude be their king, and he said, "Yeah, and don't forget a random dude in a prison uniform."
Yeah.
Well done.
Excellent point.
Yeah.
Well,
and the
this is
only
my
thing
turn
that,
now.
Wearing an orange jumpsuit, let's make him our leader.
the only thing they got to base it on, he looked at a picture and said, "Hey, that's my mom." Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You just gonna take his word for it? Like,
well, you know, genetic testing. I'm sure they did that when he was a prisoner. They knew who he was. We'll just say that. We'll retcon it a little bit. All right.
I guess they knew, but I mean,
We'll retcon
first
it.
they didn't, not as the kingdom, and like nobody knew until right then, and then they're all like, "Yeah, you're right. Here's the crown." Wait,
That
what?
was a little bit interesting. Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, I guess it's my turn to either rag or praise this book. So let me go ahead and jump right into it here. The story was, I would say, I think it's almost a slow burn. This book is kind of a slow start, and it kind of takes its time, especially in the younger days of his upbringing. It really takes the time to establish him as a solo character. He is set up as a man apart. He's a part of no world. He's not a part of Atlantis. He's not welcome on the earth or on the land. He can't stay there that long. And basically, he's a loner in the ocean. His only friends are the wildlife out there, and he has to eat them. So, which becomes a problem for him a little bit later. So, yeah, he's like there's just no place for this guy, you know. So you kind of feel for him. Now, a lot of that's reading in between the lines, what they show you and tell you, but that's how I took it, you know. Some parts of this are really corny, like really like after school special-ish, you know. Some of the stuff with the old lighthouse keeper was kind of schmaltzy, like they used to say about Neil Diamond's music, but some of it is really good, man. It's like, I don't know, I love how they make this guy like the underdog from birth. Basically, he is like, it's almost like the Adogi with the Atlanteans, man. The Spartans throw this baby out there to the wolves expecting to die, but he still lives, you know. And then the prodigal son returns, so you get kind of that whole aspect too. But I love the second he finds his home in Atlantis, he goes right into solitary confinement for 3 bloody years. So it just shows you how brutal the Atlanteans are. And, you know, that's what he's been searching for his life. He doesn't speak their language. He doesn't know their customs. And it costs him. So he spends like his formative years of young adulthood in prison. So that built some interesting character. I mean, luckily there was a very erudite gentleman, the Professor Volko, there to teach him the language and all that. And I love like his redemption moment, which is like when he figures out his mother has died. That's the only thing that's keeping him in the prison, and then he just lets loose. Let's see, there's a good picture of it in there. Sorry, it's gonna drag my time up a little bit, but it's such an epic kind of. I know it's embarrassing to say it was epic, but I think it was like it just shows him like wrecking the people. Then it's like, and he could have done this all along, but he didn't do it because he wanted to be close to his mother, and he didn't know the extent of his powers. But I don't know. There's some things I really liked, but some of the cheesy dialogue is a little bit tough to swallow, and the ending's pretty abrupt. For a book that took as long as it did to establish him, the epilogue is like a page, or maybe 2 pages at best, with half of it being a splash, whatever. So, ending was a little weak, but overall, I thought the story's a little above average, and I went ahead and gave it a 3. Did its job, and I love how it established the character. The whole costume thing was great. The fact that he wore it afterwards is like a reminder of basically where he came from and what the society thought of him before he was king. The whole king thing, others have already got into. Yeah, it was given up pretty fast, the throne and all. But me maybe that's a kinder, gentler Atlantis. But anyway, I give it a 3. A little better than average, and great character development. All right, here we go. All right, so we have one final grader, well, except for the chat, of course, the most important grader in our little quadrant here. And Dave, what's your opinion about the story within? Is this a kingmaker of a story, or is this a a restraining order type of deal? Keeping with the cover.
Okay, so like something I was sure some of you guys were going to mention, but nobody did. What is with this whole like homoerotic story with this old lightkeeper guy? Like, what? He's got him tied up naked, all bondage style for a while. Next thing you know, he's bringing him into the house. Aquaman's giggling and running around in his underwear. They're holding hands. They're watching the sunset together. I was like waiting for the panel for them to start kissing. And I mean, like, it's weird, man. This is like a really, really, really older dude than Aquaman, right? So I was like, that makes me a little uncomfortable, this whole deal there. So that was really off-putting, and that's like half the book, right? And then they go into what is basically a montage thing, like, okay, hey, there's Atlantis. And just like Unruly hit it on the head, like the ocean is big. I know you think like my city limits are big or my country is big, but that's nothing, man. Like the Atlantic Ocean is massive. Or if he's in the Pacific, you don't stumble across stuff, right? Even cities, especially at the bottom of the ocean, man, and it's pretty light down there too. Everybody can see, I guess, maybe. So there was a couple of cool points. The whole prison kind of deal, I was like, okay, I get it. You know, working in the salt mines, that's got to suck. Then mom dies and he just, you know, whips some people ass, takes off. He's like, screw this place. I'm out, right? My mom's dead. I refused to talk to her for all this time, but, you know, I'm out. Then he comes back and everybody's like, oh, you're a hero. You started, like, you know, you helped us start the revolution and stuff. And I'm like, wait, what? He left. How is he a hero? And they're all like welcoming to this guy. And then all of a sudden he's king. And then the story kind of ends and he marries a girl and he has a baby and the baby dies. And they don't explain any of that. Like, that's 2 pages. I was like, wait, what? Aquaman had a baby? I didn't know Aquaman had a baby. And yeah, that was weird. This whole story was just, it started off way too slow and then got way too fast, right? Like, it just, I would have liked to see more Aquaman becoming like the superhero guy rather than Aquaman growing up kind of guy, right? Like, I get it. He learned his ABCs and stuff like that from this guy. But do I really need to see like all those pictures of him running around with an old guy while he's wearing a green Speedo everywhere? Like, it's creepy and weird. And maybe that's where the creepy face on the cover comes from. Because that's like learned behavior from his dad. He's just passing it on.
Stop showing his codpiece.
His dad started the dark bus luring in minnows with sardines or whatever they're doing. And yeah, I gave the interior story a 1.5. It's pretty rough. Did have a couple little points, but no. Crisis needed to happen for Aquaman.
So 1.5. So once again, we have basically a tie score between us. So what is that between us? Like 2, basically. So chat, what do you guys think? If you've read the story or just from what you've heard from us, is this a tale worthy of the Justice League, or are we talking like the New Warriors level of team synergy here and storytelling? So cast your votes now and be heard whilst we tear apart the story a little bit more. So yeah, you had to keep pointing out the old man laying hands on his half-naked adopted son, didn't you? I mean, we were already uncomfortable as it was, man, and you had to just keep going at it.
Yeah, now I'm starting to wonder if maybe NAMBLA uses this as recruitment material.
Oh, no one else mentioned it too. It was kind of interesting that the old man is the one who named Arthur Curry. So that's where he got his name from, the old lighthouse keeper.
I thought it was I thought they had like, I haven't read a lot of Aquaman myself, but I thought that name was kind of related to being King Arthur, right? No.
Yeah. That's the vibe I got.
But that's not what's happening here in any way. Like, it's all weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
That is. You're right, man. That is pretty strange. He's naked, tied up with his legs spread.
That's hand spreading to the 8th degree right there. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, man, that's something.
That got you electrocuted in San Francisco.
You know, the weird part too of the story is like, now I'm thinking of all the inconsistencies once you guys start pointing them out, of like the way the father dies. If I understand from his note that he left is, I saw some suspect-looking creatures in the ocean, and I knew that they were going to be trouble. So I just told you to go away. I went and killed myself, or because I didn't want you to fight them, but I know you're gonna fight them anyway. And they never even show what this threat was that he was talking about, right? Wasn't that really weird?
Yeah, and they didn't show the fight or him getting killed or anything. He's just like, in a note, he's like, yeah, I just let them kill me so that you wouldn't have to fight them. What?
Yeah, like you could have defended me, but I didn't want to put you in that spot. Like, what?
You're his dad.
Here's my theory. The Atlantean equivalent of Dateline showed up at his house.
Take a seat, sir.
Why are you sitting in the kitchen naked? What?
Did you know that this fish boy was only 14 years old?
Oh, boy. Yeah, you're right. This definitely got spacey vibes all over it. So, okay, I guess we go to our grades now upon this most highest of subjects we're sitting here talking about. Look at this. All right, so let's go ahead and get the
screen name Fish Daddy 407, and we have the screenshot of your AOL chat. Anyway, the chat. What do you think of this story? Let the grades fly.
All right, so the first one we got from Biggie, he gives it a 0.5. Let's see.
Not enough fisting in this story for Biggie.
No. See, Comic Collector gives it a 3. Joe comes in with 1.5. Some people are on the fence. Conquistadorks, hey, welcome to the stream, by the way. We got a 2 coming from there. Let's see. That's all the grades we have. Where's all our graders at? Were they too enraptured with our stories of bondage and young male nudity to concentrate on their scores, or what?
Super S chimed in there.
There we go. We got another one here. 1.5 coming in from Russ. Show the cover again. We're not grading the cover, Steve, but I'll show it to you again anyway. Look at that face. That's a face any parent can trust.
That's a face of childhood trauma.
And the bad part, it's not a badly drawn face either. It's just so creepy. Why? Don't smile.
Hey, little boy.
That's true.
Oh, man. Let's see my crab trap. Yeah. All right. So Gray Man comes in with a 2.5 as well. So I think I could pretty much wrap up the grading there. So if you'd like to give us our number here, Kenneth, I will add it to the logs.
We have a 1.5 from the chat.
1.5. So chat is going with Miracle and Unruly on this one. All right, there we go. Still worthy of a read. Just there's a lot lacking. Some of it was bordering on really cool, and then a lot of it was just really lame. So it's just, I know this whole book seems to be a thing of extremes. You know, it's like they cared about it through half of the book, and then the other half they didn't. Maybe they're running out of time. I don't know. Maybe they're up against a deadline. I don't know, but just a weird story of extremes of this book. So let's go ahead and move on to the interior art, and let's see how well it holds up compared to the cover. Same guy did the cover as did the interior. So sometimes that can be good, sometimes that can be bad. So Mr. Unruly Simian, what's your take on the pencils and colors within?
All right, I enjoyed the art in this book. Kurt Swan, he's not, Steranko, he's not Kirby, he's not Neil Adams, but he's like, the old veteran that used to play second base, bats about 260, great glove. that towards the end of his career, they moved to right field. You know, he can still bat and he can throw you out at third. I mean, he's solid, clean line work. But what I really enjoyed, the best part of this art to me was whoever did the colors for all the undersea stuff. I know you probably can't see it that well on my phone, but that is some beautiful colors in this splash page. And pretty much anything that was done underwater, when they would let the guy go, had some decent colors in it. But it's solid line work. I mean, maybe some of the backgrounds are lacking. You know, wherever he could get away with not drawing a background, he did. And what backgrounds there are is minimal. But as far as the people involved, solid work. Not great, nothing flashy, but solid. Good facial expressions, which has always been huge to me. And look, here's some more of these colors. I really like the way he uses purples. That's a good face right there. A little expression of surprise. What? He looks vaguely surprised. That's all I ask for in a comic artist. And here's something I forgot to mention, which I'm just going to throw in there for the hell of it. Did y'all notice what the advert was on the back cover? The movie that made, you know, gave Nicole Kidman a name. 30 years ago, this movie came out, which really makes me feel incredibly old. But I like the art. I like Kurt Swan. I like whoever inked this. So I'm going to give it a solid 3.0 for my grade for the art.
All right. 3 coming at you from Mr. Unruly Simian. So it's matching up with the covers. So no surprise there. The same guy who drew it. And I might add, the same guy seemed to take as much time with the interiors as he did with the cover. So kudos to that. So next up in our little escapade. Oh, sorry, Kenny. What happened to you there? Where'd you go, man? Did I drop you out or did you drop?
Long story. Don't worry about it.
All right. Well, we'll just ignore you now for the next 2 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in and give my opinion. Let me get my old clock started so I don't ramble on too much more than I normally do. So the interior art, I'm with Unruly on this one. This is solid work. One thing I like about Kurt Swan, and one thing I like about artists like him in particular, is they don't get too stylized. You know, we did a McFarlane book last week, and you know that guy couldn't live without stylization. It's hard to draw someone normal looking. You know what I mean? It's easy to put your own spin on things, but like everything in here, the sense of scale is good. Yeah, some of the backgrounds are a little bit bland, but the underwater stuff usually looks pretty good. And that reef rock he showed from the very beginning was really well done. The colors seem to pop for such a muted background and generally fairly muted colors that the characters wear, other than Aqualad back there. Yeah, they hop off the page really good. So it's excellent work in the coloring department here. Faces are good to great, be they close or far. And I like this little panel here because he's actually not wearing his uniform, but the way they did the shading and all that makes it look like he actually is. So that's really cool. He's still wearing his bikini or his seaweed Speedos there. But there's just so many cool panels in this thing, like him brooding over, sorry, I'm inverted here, on this Mercy Rock again, where he was left to die. But just good, solid stuff, man. The only thing really holding it back is because there's not a ton of action in there that you can't really see too many dynamic shots, you know. But at the very beginning, when he's hunting fish, like, whoever, when Kurt drew the fish too, he must have been looking at some books because they all look so close to, like, these are like tiger sharks, obviously tiger sharks. That's a snapper, if I've ever seen a snapper. So that's just so cool, man. So he took a lot of time to do the interior pencils well. And what little action you do see in there is drawn well. So, yeah, I think it looks really good inside. It's just hampered by a lack of a whole lot of stuff going on. You can only make a panel or several panels of him learning how to read interesting, you know. But I give this one definitely above average because I'm more a fan. I'm like a Rick Levins kind of guy. I like, just make it look anatomically correct and don't give them jaws that are 6 feet long and no nose and eyes that are size of saucers, tea saucers. That kind of stuff bothers me. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one 3.5. I think it was much better than average. And I would like to have seen more action to see what else he could have done with it. So yeah, 3.5 from me. All right. Kind of remind me, maybe not so much of Brayfogle, but kind of. I don't know. Just had to just good strong pencils, but I don't know, no extra ticks and all that. So Miracle, what's your take on the interior art here?
What's my take on the interior arts? Well, I honestly thought like Kurt Swain's drawings they're pretty good. They're not, he's never going to be the super hot artist or ever was the super hot artist, but man, and the color, the coloring is done very well. I really like. There's really, really bold colors. They work well. Things stand out. But there's a real lack of shading in a lot of this, right? I think a lot of the drawings are very flat. Right? Even stuff where the king is supposed to be hiding his face inside a cloak, but there's so little shading on his face. It looks like it's like poking right out past, not much of it disguised, right? And I'm not sure if that's just, he's just trying to respect as much of Kurt Swain's stuff without adding anything as he can, or if that's just the way they wanted to do it. That's how he normally inks everything, just straight outlines. But I found it very flat. But that being said, I mean, like I said, it's not like there's a lot of flat, weird kind of poses. There's not a lot of big dynamic shots. Like even the fight scene here is like 2 quick panels of the fight scene in the prison. And boom, we're back to like lots of flat shots again. City, there's like this opportunity to have a big splash page there. Kind of just, it looks okay, but it's not the best, right? Like you could have had a big splash page, Atlantis, right? So I thought, there's a missed opportunity there. A little bit weird in some of the other stuff that's going on. I don't like that, like, either have, at the beginning of this book, either have Aquaman's ass or Aquaman's junk hanging out, like, all over the place, when he's drawing that kind of stuff. Like, really, man? I don't need to see that kind of stuff in my Aquaman books. It was all right. Like I said, you just tell I'm like trying to force myself to say something about it because it just didn't impress me at all, right? Like I was just like, yeah, it's cool colors, yeah, but the poses aren't dynamic. Like even like this is his big splash page one. It's just kind of a little S curve to the body, right? Like it's okay, but like if I'm struggling to say something about the art, obviously it didn't make that big of an impression on me. Definitely told the story. I only gave the interior art same as I gave the cover. Did the job to illustrate the story, so 2.
All right, 2 for the interior art. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely room for improvement. I'd like to have seen what he could have done with some more action, a battle scene, more than, like you said, 2 panels. And give me a big knockdown, throwdown. Of course, there's no Black Manta. There's no big other villains in this other than a few guards. So
yeah,
you could have fought a giant pink seahorse or something before he refriended it. That'd have been kind of interesting. And he
would have been better. This whole thing would have been better, like split up into 4 issues. Like,
that I definitely agree with. Well, all right. So there we got 2 from our last grader. So Kenny, you're gonna be the one with the final say on the grade. So what say you, sir? Are we off base here, or are we hitting the flounder on the head, as it were?
Well, I know when I first opened the page, I was like, "Oh no, this first page image is pretty bad." I think he was trying to show the effect of like his reflection in water or something, but a really sloppy drawing on the first page. So it starts out with whatever the opposite of a bang is, a whimper or something. But one thing's for sure about Kurt Swan, he's got that classic. It just makes me think like that Silver Age style. Now, one thing let me point out this page. There's the line work is a true highlight. And one thing I just noticed looking at this, those little fin things that come off the back of his boots, apparently that comes off his actual calves. So I didn't really realize that, so I looked at that page. But nice, clean line work. He does this thing where the way he shades stuff, where it's kind of like cross hatching. He does it a bunch. It's pretty much the only way he shades, but there's a lot of moments where it looks pretty cool. I kind of like that style of shading. I think it looks nice. However, I think Swan is technically good, really clean, sharp stuff. He seems to lack creativity though, because it's tons of flat angles. It's the most predictable way you would lay out every panel. And he's kind of does this one-trick pony thing of you get a few mid-range shots, and he loves the facial close-up. You get this, even though I think they look great, but like almost every other page, he does this extreme close-up thing. Look, here's the next page. There you have another one. I thought this looked nice, the way that they played out the page where he's reading the letter from his dad. I think that actually looked pretty nice. The cursive writing was really legible, and I thought that was nice. I thought that was nicely laid out. But like, it's just so flat angle, predictable, very clean. Oops. Again, there's your obligatory close-up shot that you're going to get every page. There's not a lot of dynamic poses. There's your close-up. There's not a lot of dynamic stuff going on. Like you said, the big battle scene, which is really one of the few times you see any kind of violence, and you just get these two little panels with, of course, the close-up shot of the face, which it looks cool, but goddamn, we get it. In the big money shot, I think he looks just as kind of stiff and dorky as he does on the cover. I mean, that's the big payoff, is to show him in his glory. He's just kind of like strolling along, flat angle. So it's technically good. I do appreciate Swan's art. Has kind of a classic, clean style to it. The inker, sometimes the inker leaves his thumbprint on a book with the way that they affect the work. It seems like this guy wanted to leave as little of a thumbprint on this book as possible, because all he did is basically just outlined Swan's pencil and didn't use the ink in any way to establish shade or mood or anything like that, which I think was a misstep. So with all that being said, because I appreciate the technical nature of Swan's work, which is good, I fell right down the middle with a 2.5 for the art.
All right, 2.5 coming at you from the last grader. Well, second to the last, should I say. So yeah, man, there was some ups and downs. I was looking through there too earlier, and I noticed that the fins come and go on the back of the legs on the calves. If you look like later on in the city, like sometimes the Atlanteans all have it, sometimes the women don't have it, sometimes none of them have it. It's just kind of odd how that came about, but it's cool that was part of his flesh. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was definitely room for improvement. I don't think anyone could argue that, but I think overall it was at least a decent to serviceable affair. So chat, what say you? We got a massive highlight of a grade here for the interior art, or was this the lower dregs of the sardine bowl? Cast your votes now.
That was very astute noticing that. I can't believe I did not notice his calf and the entire. They show it in almost every panel on Aquaman. I just flipped through it. If you're getting a shot of his bare calves, they're there. How the hell did I miss that?
I totally missed the two, Simian. Yeah, it's in like all of them. I don't get predictable. That's the word I was looking for, Kenny. You hit it right on the head. Like I was just underwhelmed. You know what I mean? Like I just kind of was like, yeah, it's drawn well, but it's like as utilitarian as possible. Right?
They should just made him more ragged looking, man. Like he's a loner on his own for 20 years or whatever before he goes back home, other than the lighthouse thing. He should have been wearing beat up clothes, and he should have had a beard, and his hair should have been long and scraggly, scars, No, they turned him to a vegetarian, for God's sakes.
Like he went through something, you know?
Yeah. The hero's journey. This is like a Joseph Campbell kind of thing, you know? Of course, they only had one book to do it, so maybe but yeah, they should make it look like a hardship. When he was put into prison, he looked like he was a fresh-faced boy out of Mayberry, and when he left prison, looked like a fresh-faced boy out of Mayberry, you know?
Yeah, I think that would have messed up the Aqua Twink vibe they were going for throughout.
Like they pulled him right out of Super Friends for this one.
Yeah.
If y'all noticed on the back inside cover, it advertises a 5-part miniseries for Aquaman with the same creative team. And I'm wondering how that went.
I have one or two of them. In fact, one of them had a pretty cool cover. It's like a curio box with Aquaman inside of it and some like seashells and all kinds of weird other stuff. And it's like him breaking out. That was a really cool one. If I can find it for the show, I'll show it.
Isn't Keith Griffin the guy that did the Ambush Bug? Like, doesn't he usually do like really weird stuff?
Well, hey, listen, the post-crisis Justice League, he did the same role. He did some breakdowns and plotted it with DeMatteis, I believe. And that was to me, that was my favorite incarnation of the Justice League.
Oh, yeah. I know. I was just thinking like Ambush Bug is kind of a weird character, and then Aquaman isn't that great a character either. But better now.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and start tallying some scores before I forget. And we can keep on chatting if you like, but where are we at? There we go. All right, so it looks like the grades are in, and from Grayman, we got a 3. From the comic collector himself, we have a 3 as well. Super Rust 9000 coming in with a hot 3. Oh, Joe with a 2.5. You broke the run there. But you are agreed upon with Life with Two YouTubers with also a 2.5. Steve Whiting comes in with a 2.5 as well. Conquistadorks coming in with a strong 3.0. Strong being a good grade for this book. And that is what we have so far. So if you have a last second vote, put it in now, lest we begin tallying without you.
What were your guys' grades on the art? Can you remind me?
On the interior art?
Yeah.
Let's see. Miracle had a 2. You had a 2.5. Unruly had a 3.0, and I had a 3.5.
Yeah.
Part of that is, yeah, I don't know. I think part of it just because I was so biased because he went making him look normal. You know, I don't know. I've always liked artists that do that, but I think that's all the grades. So, Kenny, if you want to give us our aggregate.
Sure. 2.78. Which
so 3.
Round that on up to a 3. It just earned a 3.
3
pretty much in keeping. There was a lot of good and a lot of bad, and I'll tell you, I do not like the color scheme of orange and green, but luckily there wasn't a whole lot of that, and it's just mostly him. But it could have looked a lot worse. I didn't notice any like color bleed out or anything too, and it was kind of common in books back then. So I don't know.
It's definitely a great classic look, which I enjoyed. A clean classic style, but kind of unimaginative, you know.
It is. You don't remember it when you put it down.
The colors look pretty damn good to be newsprint. And, you know, at the time, DC had like 3 or 4 different paper formats, you know, that they tried out on different books.
This dead baby picture at the end is terrible.
That's that water ripple effect we tried to do again on cover to cover or whatever, or bookended it.
I know that was abrupt at the end. That was in that epilogue. They're just like, and then because he just ends, he becomes a king, and he's like, then I married this chick, I had a baby, the baby died, and it's like the last page. I think it's him like swimming away. Yeah, the very last page is him swimming away from his child's tombstone.
Yeah,
it's like what the fuck.
So I bounced, right? Like, really, you're just gonna abandon the kingdom and everything because your kid died?
The king died, so I had to bounce. I had to take off on my grieving wife. She was always crying.
Yeah.
Man, he's like, the hell with it. I'm going to Tijuana. The hell with this. Yeah. But yep, he's an abandoned.
More in the limited series they're advertising, and they probably expand more.
That's the real origin of Aqualad. Our boy Aquaman was a cuckold. And he was like, "You got to bail, so you're gonna have to." Sorry, hold down the fort, lad. If you know what I mean.
Oh, wow, with Aqualad too. Oh boy. Oh.
Yeah.
Right. That lovely image aside, I guess we'll move on to the concept of the book, our second to last category. So
when Metarog's not around, he kind of classes the joint up.
Yeah, I know. We devolve without him around.
Yeah, I'm not adding anything in the class department, guaranteed.
Where were you when we were doing the McFarlane books? Oh boy,
you're one of us.
Of course, you don't want to horn on Dave's territory. So, all right. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the second to last, and that's the section of this, and that's the concept of the book. So, concept is a little bit ephemeral, but basically, did the book do anything new? Did it try anything new? Was it just a cash grab? So let's just try to find out a little bit about it. So I'll go ahead and lead this one off. And let's talk about the concept. Well, the concept was DC is getting shellacked by Marvel, and they were kind of trying to revamp some of their more vanilla characters to make them. I know that's much more edgy, but I don't know, just they wanted them to sell. So they had this character that no one really liked, and they tried relaunching him. I'm not sure the rationale behind relaunching him. Maybe they should have eased him in with a new look in Justice League or something, because you take a character that's that unpopular, it's hard to rebrand him, especially in a short series. Maybe that's why they only made it a short series. I think the second one was like 4 issues or something like that. But it's not like a new concept to relaunch it, but it is a new concept to relaunch something that's very unpopular, yet leave him mostly unchanged. When they relaunch things nowadays, they give it a hip new look, like Aquaman has one hand now, or an eye patch, or he speaks like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Something changes about the character, but he's exactly the same mostly in this book as he is previously. So I don't know what their concept was, other than maybe trying to get people to rediscover his book. But this book is not really aimed at a youth market. This is not a story that a young reader would want to read, because there's no action in there. There's very little action. It's all story and building up of the character. And most younger readers don't care about that sort of thing. There's no famous cameos. I mean, other than Mara and Aqualad, no one who those people were outside of, a few big fans. The only thing new is learning about the character, which I kind of dig, but as far as a sales concept, that's probably kind of a big ask, and I'm just not sure exactly what they were doing with it. Like I said, I always liked Aquaman as a character somewhat, just because I like the water characters, but yeah, I can't understand. And it was not just one special, but two. So you have like one special book, and then you have the 4-part miniseries, and then what do they do with them after that? So I don't know. It's a weird concept. It's like the in-between of the future, more aggro Aquaman, and I guess the campy, World War II version of him, punching Nazis and whatever else he used to do back then, So I don't know. It's just nothing too creative about it, other than making an origin story. Now I can dig an origin story, but yeah, nothing revolutionary here. They just put a character out there that had been around since 40 years prior to this, and tried him again to see if there's any interest. Now I will say this. They hit a good time for this, because this is the age when everyone is speculating and everyone's just buying anything with the cover that said number 1 on it. So that might have been part of the reason they did it the way they did. Not only did they have one number 1 cover, they had 2 number 1 covers. So on a different series, of course. But so I don't know. I think they had an IP laying around. They said, to hell with it. Let's try it and see what happens. We won't put too much into it, and maybe we can get some interest revamped. I just think it was a funny way to revamp interest in a character by not changing him and not making him too much more compelling. So yeah, nothing special here. I give it a 2. It's just another relaunch and not much more to it. Good origin story, but that's about it.
That's about it.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say it. I said it wrong. That's about it. I'm sorry. So that's about it. All right.
Take off.
So here we go. So Dave, we'll have 2 days speak back to back. What's your take on the concept of this book? I mean, was it something that needed to be done, or was it a complete waste of time and resources? You tell us.
I'm gonna go a little bit on the waste side, right? Like I like the backstory kind of now better. I don't know. Like I said, there was some weird stuff. Like they're like, we got to kill him, kick him out of here because he's such a freak. And like Kenny said, he looks like everybody else. Like, oh, his pale skin and blonde hair, but everybody's white. And there, you look at crowd shots. There's blonde people. So like, why are they kicking him out? Why? Where's the freak part in all this? Why do people keep making fun of him? Maybe the art or the color didn't get the notes or something. It was supposed to be sort of bluish or something. I don't know. Like, and then just like sending him to prison where he watches his mom the whole time. I mean, like, weren't you like pining your whole life to go find this crib memory you had? I do like that he kind of gets in with the fish, stops eating the fish because he's like, wait a minute, these are like my fish buddies, right? I can't eat my buddies. But then, like I said, it was weird. Like, why did you have to go to this weird backstory? They could have done an Aquaman, like a Legend of Aquaman story that really focused on different parts of his backstory, right? Like, you could touch on being raised by a landlubber or whatever you want to call him, and then, hit the Atlantis stuff, right? Let me see the big conflict. Like, don't just hand him the kingdom. Maybe have a battle over it, right? Half the guys fight with them, half the guys don't. Well, I guess that's kind of the plot to the movie, isn't it? I'm just kind of quoting that one right out. Sorry, I wasn't thinking of that. But you know what I mean? Like, there's all kinds of stuff. They focus too much on the whole daddy issue thing, and then they go into the mommy issue thing for the next friggin' bunch, and then he leaves and everything's resolved by the time he gets back. So there's no drama for him. There's no dichotomy. There's nothing I don't understand. Like, this character has it pretty easy. It's not much that goes on. I mean, they're like, oh, and like quick, they put him in prison for 3 years in solitary confinement. But that's literally one panel, one sentence. I'm like, well, you could show him like having some of this prison strife, like fighting in prison. Like, prison's usually a dangerous place, right? Like, you could have him doing stuff, not just standing in the middle of the courtyard watching his mom walk by every once in a while. It's weird. I don't like the concept. I don't think we needed this story from Aquaman. I think we could have had this story hitting much different key points that would have made this much, much better. So overall concept, I gave her right down at a 1.5. I didn't like this. I didn't like the way they did this. I didn't like the way they presented his backstory. I thought they could have done this way, way better.
Well, maybe after all those years of being tied to the chair naked by the old man, prison really wasn't so bad for him. Maybe he was groomed for prison. I don't know, but yeah, on that uncomfortable pause. So all right, so we got a 1.5 there for Mr. Miracle. So Kenny, are you going to salvage the grade on this, or is this going to kind of keep circling the proverbial aqua bowl? You tell us.
I kind of felt myself really relating to what Mr. Miracle was saying. I think as far as concept goes, the positives is I like that, because I don't know the time period that this was released, but from the looks of it, I would imagine they were trying to give a little resurgence to Aquaman, and they wanted to, almost reintroduce him to readers. It sounds like, hey, here's Aquaman's deal. Get familiar with him, because we're gonna start launching. Because it looked like we're gonna launch a little mini series. So like, we don't want to do any of the origin stuff in the mini series. So here's this one shot, Legend of Aquaman, to let you know the deal. So that, okay, cool. It's a good way to do it instead of burning up pages of a series covering this kind of shit. It did the job for me in some respects of learning some things about Aquaman that I didn't even know today. You know, the origin of the suit, and you know his relationship with Arthur Curry, all that kind of stuff. So it was nice to just get a little primer on Aquaman. Now, the execution was just bad. Kind of like Kurt Swan he was just kind of predictable and unoriginal and didn't do anything particularly creative with the art. Just flat panels and just meat and potato tell you the story. That's it. We're not going to do anything really artistic. Same thing with the story. Just not very imaginative, just like bullet points of here's the deal with the dad. You're right, that not a lot of strife in Aquaman's life, I guess. I mean, I say that he did, you know, his kid died at birth. I mean, I guess they did introduce some tragedy there, but you know, we didn't feel that. We didn't. It's one page of the epilogue, and he's swimming away. So we don't feel that for him. His time in prison is pretty easy because the whole time he could completely whoop everyone's ass easily. So he's never in danger. Like all those people in Atlantis, he can make them all his bitch easily. So no one's presenting him any kind of trouble. Like we said, when his dad died, what a moment of like, maybe the dad could have died in front of his eyes, or he tried to fight whoever this threat was, but he lost the battle and his father died because he wasn't a trained fighter yet. Like that would be cool to have him have some guilt on his conscience of like, I need to bump up my skills because my daddy died, you know, because I couldn't protect him. So, you know, I'm just a bum ass reader, and I thought of that. That seems to make sense for the story. Add a little layer to this stuff, you know, very cookie cutter stuff. So the execution was just really poor in that sense when you think of what could have been. So yeah, that's my scoop. I'm gonna keep it pretty low. Like I said, I did learn some stuff, so that's worthwhile. That's a plus. I think I'm gonna keep it right in line with Miracle, and also give it a 1.5 for the concept. Some merit to it, but a lot of missed opportunities and nothing really of much artistic merit with it, you know?
Yeah, I think if you were to give like one title to this book, that'd be it. Missed opportunities. You know, there's so much they could have done with it, and yeah, they probably should have made this at least 2 or 3 books.
Yeah,
And then they could have taken, because you could have spent half the book of him in prison and getting in solitary. You know, maybe having some dialogue with himself. You could add maybe someone was attacking Atlantis during his first year's reign, and he had to help fend it off. Something, you know, something. It's just bang, 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 bang. I don't know. Well, anyway, let's not override that too much because we still have one more grader to talk to. So, Mr. Unruly Simian, what was your take on the concept of this book? I mean, was this something that the public needed, or was this just a waste of proverbial time and or money?
All right, let me get in some obligatory ass kissing. And I'm being dead serious here, y'all. Once again, I'm reminded why I watched this show, because all three of y'all had some really astute analysis and some great points that just never occurred to me. I'm a pretty shallow, surface level kind of dude. So I'll give it some historical context. You got to all right, when I started buying comics again in the early 80s, I read probably all the main Marvel titles, and the only national title I bought was Teen Titans. Towards the mid to late 80s, the ratio was exactly the opposite. I was reading everything by DC, and the only regular Marvel title I got was Avengers. So, because at post-crisis, DC was knocking it out of the park. You know, Byrne on Superman, Perez on Wonder Woman, freaking Justice League was great. Flash was great. Batman, you had, you know, Year One by Miller. And Detective, you had Brayfogle there for like 86, 87 was the tail end of his run. Really good stuff. But DC misfired more than once. I remember the Atom series was really bad. And they actually tried to reboot Aquaman before this series in like 86. Roger remembers this series. It's where they gave him a ocean camouflage suit that was like purple and white and various blues, and the suit looked really good. It was two dudes named Posner and Hamilton that did this miniseries, and I've never seen them before or since. But the art was solid and the story was solid in that. So, but yeah, I don't know that this is a cash grab, but like others have pointed out, a chance to hopefully reestablish the character. And it's not an epic fail, but it's a fail. The one thing I disagree with y'all about is, he did develop a little. And it makes his creepy smile even weirder. His pop dies. He's hanging out in prison just to be near his mom. She bites the bullet. And then he loses his baby to whatever the Atlantean equivalent of crib death is, apparently. So, he could have been a much more brooding character, more motivated. Overall, I would give this concept, I have to go with the consensus and give it a 1.5.
Great analysis by Unruly. I think you're muted there, bud. Gene.
Sorry, the button was totally off. I had to really smack it. Yeah, one thing it kind of didn't turn me off about him leaving at the end like he did was he kind of mentions to the book, like, this is never really was my home. And maybe he doesn't have a whole lot of loyalty to this place that left him to die, basically kept him from his mother, imprisoned him all these years. So I can almost see him saying, yeah, to hell with it. I'm out of here. What's keeping me here? Of course, he could have taken his wife with him, but yeah.
Yeah, he's right.
But yeah,
Unruly's right. There is some traumatic stuff that definitely is laid out here in his origin, and yeah, maybe
everyone died.
Kind of thing. I just didn't feel, I didn't feel it, as a reader, but it's there, maybe I think it's probably just some execution missteps, but
I mean, imagine too, like when he came home, say like one of the Atlanteans was still there in the house that had just killed his dad, and he goes ballistic. He freaks. Of course, he can't fight too good at this point. You see how easily he gets taken by the guards. But maybe in this moment of freaking passion, he just rips this guy apart, man. And then he realizes, like, I can't use my power, and that's why he never uses it again while he's in prison. He knows he can. I don't know. Just there's so many more things they could have done with him in this book to give him some. They gave him tragedy. They didn't give him anything else.
I know he even got like knocked out by that old guy. The old lighthouse keeper knocked him out.
He got punked.
Dude. It's like, oh, and this book takes a turn for the creepy.
But he could have had like a Superman moment, when little Clark picks the freaking truck up, off Dad because he's, in panic mode or whatever. Something they could have done like that.
Could have, should have, would have.
He was so wooden. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of missteps. So let's go ahead and get down to the final grader, and that is you, chat. So what say you? What is your score on the concept of this book? Was this merely a cash grab? Was this DC's attempt to actually get people to know the character? What do you guys think? Tally your votes now. But
hey, and let me speak, y'all. I can't see the chat, so if any, I'm not trying to ignore anyone if somebody said howdy or nothing. I'm primitively, I'm technologically challenged.
Hey, it's still going through good. And votes are rolling in now, but yeah, we're glad to have you. Thank you for filling in tonight once again. Much appreciated. Always good to have your point of view because you're always there in the chat anyway.
And he just ended, but I did have on the side here just because it was crazy the stuff he was putting up. GPAP's auction. I didn't have the volume on or anything, but he sold just now. A Fantastic 448, a Werewolf by Night 32, Iron Man 55. Like, he laid down some serious books, man.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you for those who stuck around, even with that going on. You said it's over now, though?
It was, you have to, that was the high rollers table. That's like when I go to the casino and I'm looking around and they got a few blackjack tables and, they're like, all right, this is a $5, minimum, 15, 20, 50. I go straight to the 5, dude. Like, if I can't even sit at that table, I think a lot of us are probably exempt from that table. But
shit, right to the whale table. What are you kidding, man? But
penny slots with the grannies.
So we don't got a whole lot of votes in here right now. We need one more vote to basically break the tiebreaker, because right now we're looking at basically a 2-5. So if there's anyone else going to vote, do it now. Otherwise, we get our 2.5.
Shaq's still out here? No?
I said he had to go to bed. But, maybe interest is waning in the book. So I can see how that could happen. But
yeah, I think the consensus is 2.5. Yeah,
it's like a 2.5. So okay, well, we'll go ahead and do the basically post-mortem on this book. So we're gonna go ahead and do the overall, where we can either do the aggregate or assign it our own number on its own merits. So we will start off with who we began the show with. So Dave, what's your overall score in this book, man? Was it a great revisit or first time visit, or was this just another painful slog? You tell us.
It was a slog, man. It was poor choice on your part there, bud. Like I mean, like honestly, I'm just like, what is this creepy? You get lots, like minus a lot of points for creeping me out, right? Like that's one thing. Yeah, no. This was weird. It lacks here. It lacks here. Like this was okay, but it lacks. This was okay, but it lacks. If they're trying to like put a reboot on it, because I know like Golden Age Aquaman was kind of like didn't have this kind of backstory where you could breathe water and stuff for a while and stuff. So if they're like trying to give you a reboot, I think it was like pretty lackluster. And if they're trying to set you up for like to have a big mini series that maybe leads into a real series, right? Like I don't know how well this book sold. I would imagine not very well. I bought it for less than cover price, and cover price was from 1989. So, yeah, this was definitely not a relished book, and rightly so. I mean, I don't want to see Aquaman as junk. I don't want to see his dad like getting all touchy feely in the show me on the dolly where fucking the lightkeeper touched you, kind of deal. I'm like, yeah, no. Don't like it. I thought there was lots of wasted opportunities in this book. Could have had some really big, far off distant shots. I can see a shot like that, and then I think of like just on average what Jack Kirby would do in that situation, right? And just I'm like, meh, not even close, bud, right? So yeah, overall, I like the advertisement on the back. So I remember seeing that movie too. I didn't go to the theater. I was old enough to go to the theater for that one, but yeah, no, didn't like it. No, sir, didn't like it. Got to give it a full-on 2 overall for the overall.
So looking at a 2 for the reemergence of a DC hero, an OG of the DC stable. But yes, it was a fairly lackluster affair, if the grades are to be believed. So Kenny, what's your take on this? What was your overall grade on this book? Are you gonna go with the aggregate, or does something deep within you make you want to give it a different grade? Please let us know.
Well, I mean, I'm glad to have read it. I'm glad I got this book under my belt. So I would say it's a worthwhile read, especially if you're not as familiar with Aquaman. It's not a bad little primer on Aquaman. Unfortunately, it kind of reinforces that he's a dork, but it's not the worst. There's worse things to be. It has some highlight moments, but a lot of it is. I just feel like every category lacks a certain amount of creativity and imagination. I feel like it's all pretty safe, standard fare. Like the cover isn't particularly creative. The way the story unfolds, there's potential to dig deeper in some of these themes and events that happen, but it kind of misses the mark. But like I said, there's still cool things in it. The one thing I can say truthfully is that I wasn't bored reading the book. Like, I went through it because it's telling such a sweeping story. It has a lot of ground to cover, and it does so in a pretty thin comic. So one thing, they don't belabor any points. That's for damn sure. If anything, they leave a lot of meat on the bone for some of the stuff that takes place in the book. You know, I actually, I think it was maybe Unruly had said it, or Miracle of, you know, you probably could have really told the story in like 3 or 4 issues, you know, because they probably could have fleshed out some of these things. So it's a brisk read. I'm interested the whole way through. Just, you know, missed opportunities. The art is clean. It's really nice Kurt Swan stuff. That classic look just, you know, misses the mark on some creativity in a lot of categories. That once I started to look and really count how often he does the close-up face page throughout the book, it's like, man, that's his go-to move, man. God dog it. So, you know, I would say overall, since everything in this book is pretty much average, like none of it is really bad. The art is not bad. It just doesn't quite reach its potential. The cover, same thing. The story, it's all just boom, middle of the road. So I think the grade should reflect that. And by the way, in reading it, I didn't the homoeroticism possibilities of the beginning. It never clicked for me, to be honest. Once you guys brought it up, I'm like, oh, okay, but that didn't hit. Maybe in hindsight, I maybe I overlooked it or something. But there's definitely something there, especially the tying up to the chair. It's a little weird. You might be right about that. But back to my point. My summary is, since everything was pretty much middle of the road, not necessarily, you know, exceptional or bad, the grade's going to reflect that at 2.5. I'm glad to have read it, though.
All right, 2.5 it is. So, yeah, right down the middle. That's pretty fair stuff right there. And it seems to be, I hate to say the word mediocrity, but mediocrity seems to be the calling card of this book so far. But we'll see if it raises itself up out of that. So, Mr. Unruly, what's your take? I mean, was this a good time for you? Was it just a good idea in the head and not an execution? Give us your take on the overall score.
Well, I think their intention, I don't think it was a money grab. I think it was a genuine attempt to reestablish the character. And because Giffen had a solid reputation with National at the time, and, you know, Kurt Swan is a classic penciler. It just kind of fizzled. So I have to go with my grade for the overall would be I'll give it a 2.0. But if y'all want to read some good Aquaman, the Peter David run that came out in the early 90s with some solid pencils by Egeland, and I might be mispronouncing his name, you can get all 24 issues of that run and the 4-issue miniseries that started it from in-stock trades for about $25. So that's a solid deal, and it's a solid read, and I highly recommend it. And I'm not being paid to promote this book. So, yeah, overall, I'll give it a 2.0, and that's all I have to say, y'all.
So, man, a few words on a book of a few customers, I see. Well, all right.
That was an underwhelming book. It's hard to say something about it.
Quick and to the point. Yeah. So I guess from that note, I guess I'll run into it. What's my idea of the overall? I'm going to go ahead and skip the aggregate and just go with a score. I'm going to agree with Mr. Kenny here. This book is as serviceable as it gets in some ways. I'm going to give it 2.5. But here's the problem with this book. This book is a missed opportunity. There's so many good points in this book that's just not expanded upon, whether that's due to time constraints or, you know, they're running out of ideas in the story. They didn't want to change the character too much. so much cool could have been developed with this, with either more time or maybe just a little more care into the story. It was really cool learning about Aquaman. I love the suit origin story is cool. I like the fact that he didn't have an easy childhood, that he wasn't just the little prince that made good. You know, he actually had a rough time of it before he took the throne. But it's just, for everything it does right, it does something wrong, man. And it's just so much potential that could be had to take this character and kind of give him the late 80s makeover, the brooding hero makeover. That was all the rage at the time. They could have done it so easily here, and they didn't. They stuck with safe, kind of golden agey kind of character development. And this man is a tragic hero at this point. You know, everything in his life's been tragedy. He should never smile through the book. Maybe when he doesn't actually just smile too much in the book, when his son dies or when his son is born, he's smiling. But so I don't know, man. It's just so many missed opportunities. It kind of leaves you hollow at the end. You think you're knowing this guy, but you don't really emotionally invest in him at all because, like I said, his tribulation, it skips years in between. And I guess you kind of got to do it on a show like this or on a book like this. But yeah, I don't know, man. It was they could have done so much more with it, and it disappoints me. One of the reasons I picked this book is I remember exactly where I bought this. It was at a grocery store called Extra in Orlando. I'm sure Roger would know it because he lived back there about the same time I did. And it was a huge, huge store, and they had a little comic book section, and I always would go over there and see what they had new. And this is where I got this Aquaman and the other part of the other miniseries, the 4-parter. But wow, we got someone blowing up the chat here. Yeah, I don't know. I want to like it a lot more than I did, but I haven't read this book since '89, so I feel it leaves me kind of wanting more. I guess that's a good thing, but I want the book to be rewritten. You know, I want it to be a little more interesting. I want a little more action happening. I want a little more description on what they lead into on the story. You know, it's like, okay, the old man taught him to read. What else did he teach him? You know, when he lived with the old man all those years, why did he never discover clothing? You know, how did prison change the guy? You know, just all those little things that they could have done. But at the end, he's still a Ken mannequin. You know, he looks exactly the same when he's leaving Atlantis as he did when he entered it. And you don't really know the guy. You see what happens to him, but you don't know because it doesn't tell too much of what he's thinking for the most part. And it's interesting how the story is kind of told from like a third person perspective. So that's kind of interesting. You don't hear too much of his inner dialogue. It's just kind of translated for somebody else. So yeah, this book it's better than average, I'd say, as far as regular fare goes. But for an initial book or a relaunch of a character, it falls flat, and that's not what you want to do with a character you're trying to relaunch to the world. So I'm gonna give it 2.5, and yeah, it loves mediocrity. Oops, sorry, you're trying to share something here.
No, don't.
Look at that. There's Namor.
Well, I was waiting for the that was for later, but yeah, we can roll into
him out there now.
Well, Miracle's right. That pose right there would have been so much better than the one they used on this cover.
Yeah. Namor, right? The other underwater. He's also wearing a seaweed jockstrap.
And he seems to be packing.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you a question. If they introduce Namor in the MCU, are they going to have the little ankle wings, y'all reckon?
I hope.
Oh, I sure hope so, man.
They better.
Have no ankle wings.
That's what makes him a mutant, isn't it? I mean,
pointy ears, the big eyebrows.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe will the ankle wings be weird, you think? I guess I could see it being weird translating to screen.
They are weird. He can never wear shoes or boots. Nah, they'll probably actually get rid of them.
Yeah, I think they won't. Yeah, you just need those sharp, distinct eyebrows, those pointy ears.
The shovel head.
Yeah.
I mean, but Namor's so much more interesting a character than Aquaman is anyway. I love Namor. He's like the best example of like the sometimes hero, sometimes villain in Marvel. You never know what he's going to be. I love that. He's a super powerful either or. Yeah.
He's chaotic neutral.
He's arrogant. I love it, man. They make him arrogant.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, and he's old. He's the second oldest superhero there is.
Yeah.
Like, was it 38?
Yeah.
Right.
I think you're like 4 or 5 months after Superman, like pre-Batman. Predates Batman.
First mutant and first
Yeah,
character.
First mutant.
Most people don't think of him as a mutant, but he is. So, but
Superman's not a mutant.
Cool.
He's an alien. Right?
True.
Genome, you should
Very
make me
true.
a blue wrench. I need a blue wrench,
What's that?
man. You should make me a blue wrench. You know how to do that?
A blue ranch?
Yeah, make him a blue wrench.
Not ranch. A blue wrench in your chat. You should make me one. I've always wanted
Let's
one.
see. I don't know how to
In
do
my,
it. Let's
I
see.
noticed my Wi-Fi connection was getting a little spotty on my last one, so that's why I'm joining Simian in no face mode because it's really blotchy. So I'm gonna spare you. You can look at Kirby.
Yeah, your frame rate was dropping pretty hard. It started off really good too. I don't know what happened. It must be coming peak hours over there, or you got Pornhub on the other computer. So I'm not sure which it is. But
He's trying on his Aquaman speedos.
I thought about ordering a pair of those too. I didn't have any seaweed here either. So
Thanks for not doing that.
The seaweed doesn't really give your privates room to breathe, I've noticed.
Man, yeah, he kept the haddock behind wraps, but just barely. Yeah, I don't know. Well, this is the part of the show where we kind of wrap up and tell everybody what each other's channel is doing. So, yeah, look at that. We got 5 serviceables today. Oh my goodness, that's it. And I'm slacking. This book is like screaming serviceable too. Should have had more. You can't count those.
Nice work, Miracle. and we're also
just in.
Yeah, wrap up what we have going on and let people know what the next book is, right?
Yep. So actually, we need to figure out which book we're going to do. Have we come to a consensus on that one?
I mean, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll announce that next. So in the meantime, because he's on the phone, just in case it's dying, I'm going to go ahead and let Unruly Simian go first. So Unruly, what's got going on new with the channel? Anything exciting coming up on the horizon?
Y'all know me. I'm not really a regular content creator, but I am going to enter 84's contest and Lady Fantastics contest at some point this weekend.
Nice.
And I picked up 5 or 6 new Silver Age slabs, so I might do a re-slab configuration on my wall video. And that's about it, y'all. And hey, listen, I really appreciate y'all asking me to do this. It was fun as hell.
Oh, so glad you could do that.
Yeah, we loved having you, man. I think Unruly Simian, like, legit is a pillar, one of my favorite dudes in the community. And it just goes, like, most of the interactions that I have on YouTube, in reality, is in the chat, you know? You know, the other content creator, like sitting and watching a video and doing live stream with people, it's cool, you know? But I definitely spend more time, you know, in chats and even reading people's comments and stuff. And that's where you really see Unruly shine. He's like he contributes to the community more than most, even though he doesn't have a channel that is always pumping out videos and stuff. My man contributes to the community, contributes to the conversation and the hobby as much as anyone out there. And he's like a thoughtful dude, cool dude, man. And yeah, kudos to you. I'm really glad you joined. I hope sometime down the road we could do it again, man. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you for the kind words, man. It was my honor and pleasure to be on here with y'all tonight.
Yeah, you actually might be replacing me in the next show because the wife and I are going to go on a cross-country tour starting this weekend, so we'll be gone for about 2 weeks. So be ready. You may get the call, my friend, if you are still game.
Yeah,
like I said, I got no ego. If y'all want somebody else, that's cool, but I'd love to do it again.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. We'd love to have you again. That was great. Man, I was like biting my fist at some of the stuff you're saying to try and I wouldn't drown you out with laughter. Like I was like, I gotta hit the mute before I'd like burst out laughing. So you did a great job on Really Beer. When Roger told us he needed somebody to replace, yours is the only name that we all came up with, man. Nobody else was even considered.
Good deal.
Yeah, yep. So Dave was biting his fist like poor Aquaman was biting a pillow in his youth. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Throw that one out there. Poor lighthouse keeper was lonely and he had crabs. So what can I say? But
you know,
So
I've been
Dave,
doing this school stuff that I've kind of got going on in my really, really life, right? So, but I'm done tomorrow. In 2 weeks, I'll have it open. So I was hoping maybe we do it on my channel next time.
yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
And we can actually do it this time, right? I know we can do it. We won't have any technical problems at all.
Well, no. We'll have technical problems. We'll give them all work like that, but we'll get it done. We'll still get it done. You know, that's what we do.
Well, I got you pulled up on the big screen. So what do you got coming up on the channel? What's new in Miracle Land?
Like I said, I've been super busy with this course. It's like an accelerated thing, so it takes a lot of time. Anyway, I finally got a video. I filmed it. I just got a little bit of editing, and I'm going to publish it later tonight. So we'll have another top 500 value finally come back on the show, or come back on my channel tonight. And you know, we'll see. We got to roll with it a little bit here. Like I said, there's some stuff coming up, but I'll have a little extra time off, right? So we'll be able to go and do Graders Note Show and whatever else is going on. And yeah, but I don't have a huge lot planned just because I'm trying to keep little things going. But we'll have more 500 values coming up here right away. That's all.
All righty.
Keep going. Don't get dead air on us.
Sorry, I was over here reading chat too. So Kenneth, what do you got coming up in the near future? What's happening in Galactus Land over there?
Yes, sir. You know, tomorrow night, finally, Tony Sanders has stopped ducking me. He's been avoiding getting this Macho Madness, you know, and I'm finally going to take a crack at that cover championship. It's going to be a three-way dance, brother. Macho Head 84, Biggie Shackamania, and the Tone. We're going to square off on a cover match battle on Tony's channel tomorrow night. 12 Cent Superman is the theme. I've got a really tough cover to beat, in my opinion. So I'm going to be locked and loaded. I'm bringing the big guns tomorrow night. So that's something to look out for. Me and Biggie Shack might pregame a little bit on the Mega Power Hour Friday night edition. So keep your eye out for that. And aside from that, I'm planning on doing, there's a pre-recorded video that I have been mulling around in my head, and I think I'm going to drop it sometime soon on my channel, my 84 channel. And it's definitely different than the stuff that you've normally seen, I think, on my channel. But yeah, man, stay tuned for that. I think it'll be good. I'll just say that. And that's all.
I think it'll be good too, even though I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, let's see. I guess it's up to me now. Yeah, so kind of it's gonna be pretty sparse for me for the next probably 2 at least weeks, because we're gonna be driving cross country, gonna do some sightseeing and some camping in some pretty remote areas. So I don't know if I'll have an internet connection for a lot of it, but I'll try to upload some videos. I don't know if I've never used the YouTube uploader. I use a third-party software, so we'll have to see if I can even manage that. But I'll bring camera gear with me and maybe upload some of the cooler stuff I see out there. Maybe I can do a review from the tent. We're going to do a lot of tenting and backpacking. So, yeah, I expect to be pretty minimal stuff. But maybe some more reviews. I'm not sure what happened to John Beatty. We were talking back and forth, and then it's kind of got quiet. So I'll ping him again when I get back. So maybe we can get that interview going. But I just interviewed Adam Britton on the channel. That's up there for all to watch. For those of you interested in biology and or crocodilians, it's a great little video to watch. And I have a few more lined up in the future. Just, time between everything else to get it done is not always easy. But yeah, so just more the same variety from my channel. And like I said, it's going to be pretty quiet for the next couple weeks. But after that, it'll pick back up. So, and I look forward to being on the next show. I don't know if I'll be back in time for the next one. Probably not, but we'll see. I'll let you guys know. So who wants to do the book announcement for this evening?
The book announcement for this evening?
Yeah.
We got time for next time.
If you want to throw it up on the screen, I can narrate while we show the book. You saw it,
Shocker,
earlier, brother. Metarock's pick for next episode. Yeah, I know I'm getting glitchy. Maybe someone else take over the mic. Can you hear me?
Some burned goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was that? What year is that one from? I forget. I know Roger was saying something about it. It's 1990? Is that right?
That sounds about right.
Yep, April 1st, 1990.
Right. See, I should trust myself. I know. Right. So, April 1st, 1990, John Byrne's reboot of Namor, or I guess not particularly reboot. I'm not sure how this plays out. I personally am a big Namor fan, much more so than Aquaman, but I haven't read this one. Like that kind of falls in that little window of period when I kind of stopped collecting comics for a few years. So excited to get my hands on that one. I know, John Byrne, always a solid gentleman, comic legend, legendary artist and writer that he is. So really interested to see how Namor plays out. If anybody who's watching this on the replay or is still in the chat right now wants to go and find this book, it's a cheap dollar bin book. You can still find it, at most LCSs that have, back issue bins, for $1, maybe $2. Don't pay any more than that. Anything else, you're getting ripped off. But please join us, buy that book, join us on our next show, and we're going to do our review. Roger will be back from his vacation, so he'll be joining us again, the mighty Metarog. And of course, we'll also be joined by Genome Presents, perhaps. Maybe we'll have Unruly back, perhaps. Maybe we'll have some amazing things happen, of course, right? And we'll always bring in the mighty macho head, Mr. Kenny. He'll always be here. Be here on Graders Notes. So that'll be in 2 weeks' time. That is Namor #1, the John Byrne reboot from the 90s.
I gotta say, it looks like Namor was raised by the Lighthouse Keeper too, because his uniform is it's not the most all-encompassing, is it?
No, but I mean, like, if you're a water guy, you're not gonna have like a parka on, right?
Right.
Just Speedos.
Just Speedos, right? Like, what else are you gonna wear?
So we can't hold it against Aquaman.
You could mix it up a little bit, give him some jam shorts or something, right? It was the 90s. He could have jams on.
Well, I think the working theory is if you're packing a big one, I'm going to show it all.
Yeah, maybe. But he's always got that shrinky dink, right, from the water being cold.
It is cold and a lot of pressure down there. It's
Maybe
no more a eel.
Which makes it even more impressive.
Even more impressive.
Just leave the beluga under wraps. And I guess on that note, we will go ahead and get on out of here. So make sure to either read or pick up your copy of Namor #1 so you can go right along with us at the next show, which will be in 2 weeks' time. Same time, different bat channel. Should be on Mr. Miracle's channel next time. So stay tuned for that. Announcements coming up. And unless you guys have anything else to add, I'm going to go ahead and kill it right now. But it's been a pleasure having everyone in chat. It's been a pleasure with my esteemed colleagues doing the show as always. And we will see you again real soon. So until next time, this is Genome and the Unruly and the Graders Notes crew out.
Peace.
Peace. Thanks for joining us.
Later.